Echoes of Wisdom, where your spiritual journey begins.
Welcome to Echoes of Wisdom, where ancient secrets meet modern minds. I'm truly glad you're here. In today's episode, we'll journey into the fascinating world of the Rosicrucians, part myth, part mystery, and deeply woven into the hidden currents of history. Who were they? What did they believe? And how did their secretive presence shape the world around them? If you enjoy diving into the unknown and uncovering wisdom lost to time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we explore the echoes of the past.
In the turbulence of 17th century Europe, an age ravaged by war, religious conflict, and the slow collapse of medieval certainty, three anonymous texts appeared like lightning in the darkness. The Fama Fraternitatis, Confessio Fraternitatis, and Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz did not simply speak to their time. They spoke above it. They told of a secret brotherhood, centuries old, born not of power or wealth, but of wisdom, of spiritual enlightenment, of hidden sciences, of truths lost and rediscovered in the shadows of history. At the heart of these texts stood a name, Christian Rosenkreuz. Yet this name was never meant to denote a single man. It was and remains an allegory, a symbol, a mythos. According to the legend, Christian Rosenkreuz was born in 1378, a child of nobility who rejected the decadence of his age. He set out on a pilgrimage to the east through Arabia, Egypt, and the Moorish lands of Spain, where he was initiated into the secret traditions of the ancients. Alchemy, astrology, sacred geometry, mystical medicine, and the divine sciences of the soul. Upon his return to Europe, he founded a secret brotherhood, the Fraternity of the Rosy Cross, sworn to live in obscurity, heal the sick, uplift the fallen, and protect sacred knowledge from corruption and misuse. The Rosicrucians were not a political force, nor a religious sect in the traditional sense. They were philosophers, physicians, alchemists, and mystics, men and women, devoted to the inner reformation of humanity. Their tools were not swords or decrees, but symbolism, initiation, and silent service. At the center of their symbol stood a rose and a cross. The rose, blooming from the heart of the crucifix, symbolized the unfolding of divine consciousness within the human soul. The cross represented matter, sacrifice, and earthly experience. Together, the rose cross stood as a declaration of sacred union of the spiritual and the physical, of the seen and unseen. Though the original Rosicrucians remained cloaked in secrecy, and many believe they never physically existed, the impact of their ideas was profound. Their manifestos ignited the imagination of Europe's thinkers, dreamers, and revolutionaries. They spoke of a hidden wisdom tradition stretching back to Egypt and Greece, unified under a Christianized Hermeticism. They declared that true enlightenment required the harmony of science, religion, and art, and that divine truth lay not in dogma, but in personal transformation. In an age where science and religion were locked in combat, the Rosicrucians proposed a middle way, one where alchemy and reason, mysticism and mathematics, contemplation and experiment were not enemies, but partners. Their teachings influenced the development of natural philosophy, the precursor to modern science, as well as mystical Christianity, Enlightenment humanism, and the Western esoteric tradition. The ripple effects of Rosicrucian thought reached far beyond the 17th century. They helped shape the symbolic language of Freemasonry, which inherited their architectural and moral allegories. In the 18th and 19th centuries, their ideas were reinterpreted by theosophists, alchemists, and occultists, many of whom claimed to be working in the Rosicrucian stream. Orders such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Amorc, and various Martinist and esoteric Christian groups adopted Rosicrucian imagery and themes, seeing in them a pure source of perennial wisdom. Philosophers like René Descartes, Francis Bacon, and Gottfried Leibniz were either directly or indirectly touched by Rosicrucian ideas. Even Isaac Newton, while celebrated as a scientist, spent much of his private life studying alchemy and biblical prophecy, subjects closely aligned with Rosicrucian interests. In our own time, the legacy of the Rosicrucians continues not as a rigid dogma, but as an open invitation. It calls to those who seek meaning beyond materialism, who sense that the human soul is not merely an accident of biology, but a vessel of divine purpose. Their teachings speak of inner alchemy, the transformation of leaden instincts into golden virtues, of silence and service, of the invisible architecture of the cosmos reflected within the temple of man. The Rosicrucian is not defined by belonging to a group, but by a journey, an inward pilgrimage. It begins not in grand halls or rituals, but in the quiet longing for truth, in the discipline of study, and in the courage to confront one's own shadows. Christian Rosenkreuz, the mythic founder, still walks among us not as a man, but as an idea, a guiding light. A secret presence in the heart of every seeker who dares to dream that science and spirit, reason and revelation might yet be reconciled. In a world obsessed with surfaces, the Rosicrucians remind us to look deeper. In a time of noise, they offer silence. In a culture of speed, they speak of timeless truth. The Rose Cross is not a relic. It is a key, a symbol that once understood opens the door to the inner sanctum of the soul where the eternal light still burns, waiting to be remembered.